made a lot of portraits in this project that are contextualized by the environment in which the people are. And what I think is important about that is trying to portray a relationship, and a relationship between the landscape, between a mill, between a house, between a town and the person. Roger works for the Department of Fish and Wildlife for the state of Washington. And I went out with Roger for a day on we were on the Sawdust River right here. And I was trying to photograph a spawned salmon that was in front of me. And when I turned around, Roger had assumed this sort of Zen-like posture and was just sort of sitting, almost being swallowed up by the ferns and moss of the forest. We see here two portraits, and it's a portrait of a father and a portrait of his son. And the father here is Brad Balderson, who is a commercial fisherman. It's tough work. All of his sons, except for Harold, have followed him into the tradition of fishing. And, you know, Brad has been doing this for a long time, and what I was interested in doing, and I guess in this photograph, is portraying this relationship between him, his boat, and the landscape. And Harold here didn't want to follow his brothers and his father in the tradition of fishing, and he went off instead and joined the U.S. military. He had been in Iraq building bases for the U.S. Army, and I was here photographing just after he had recently returned from Iraq. And he was trying to figure out how he related now being back home. And so these two images really kind of, for me, represent, I guess, the past and the sort of hard scrabble identity of the region, but also the future of the region. And these are tough questions that I don't know the answers for, but now as these industries are starting to at times collapse or at times diminish, what are the opportunities that will exist for them in the future? And that's, I think, an important part of the story. This is an image of the Suture & Sons Star Wars memorabilia store in Aberdeen, Washington. And what you're seeing in this picture is obviously lots and lots of Star Wars stuff surrounding the young manager at that time. I was lucky enough to come during the hours of operation, which at that point were Wednesday through Friday I think it was from 4 to 7. It was because that's when Colin, the manager, got out of school. And those are the sorts of ways that people get by to a certain extent. I've gotten a lot of response from folks that I photographed. Cindy Millage, who works at one of the hatcheries that I photographed, she came and I gave her a walkthrough of the exhibition when it was on the West Coast. And she would tell me stories about some of the photographs that I had taken, backstories, history about certain images that I had no idea existed. And so it continues, the life of the project continues.